Alright, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different for this video. I thought I would give a little bit of commentary over the climb and just talk about what was going through my mind and talk about the thought process that went in my head in each moment and just kind of share and just kind of give some entertainment. I don't know, talking over it, right? So yeah, this is a construction site downtown Long Beach. It's a 5/1 that's being built, meaning it's residential over like shopping areas. There's a bunch of them popping up around the cities, around the city, basically around the first district. And the backstory behind them, it's actually pretty shady if you look into it. But we're not going to talk about that here. This isn't really the place. This is more of just like looking at the construction area, climbing it. Um, and yeah, so I was originally headed to downtown Long Beach to climb a different building, but on the way there, I saw this one that looked a lot more fun and it grabbed my eye. So, I kind of scoped it out a little bit, took a walk around the building to see if there were any cameras, see if there were any points of entry that I could take. And I found there were a bunch of cameras along one street, and then the other street, there were basically no cameras, particularly one corner, and that was the corner that I entered in. Very easy, very easy access actually. So they should beef up their security a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, it was still bright outside, and I saw there was a car parked at a different street corner that was with this building, this site, I guess you could call it. And so I wasn't sure if there was still security in the area. That car park there kind of led me to believe there was still someone here. I wasn't too sure where they were or what was going on. So when I was walking around here, I was still very sketched out and kind of keeping my head on a swivel looking for them. I did not want to climb the scaffolding to get to the top because that was very exposed to the street and exposed to the site in general. And I just did not want anyone who may be walking around or any police officers driving around to see me, climbing this building, and I did not want any unwanted attention. So I found a staircase on the inside and I climbed it up. So here's me doing that. It's not as interesting as climbing the scaffolding for sure, but it's a lot more of a safe option. Here I enter, the floors below me, they all have concrete stairs. These are all wooden stairs. I assume this building is going to be a lot taller in the future. This one's just being built, and so I assume this is going to be another 5/1 with residential areas, and so it's going to be a very tall apartment complex. But yeah, I just climb up some of the stairs, and here it gets a little bit weird because there's lighting on that flight, but then on the flights above there's no lighting. And so, I just kind of take a mental note of that, and I'm like, kind of what's going on here. And I decide to actually exit the flight of stairs at that point and kind of walk around a little bit just to kind of explore the hallway and see how high up I actually am, because I have no idea how many floors I just climbed or how high this building actually is, because I didn't really spend that much time scouting it out before. I kind of went into it a little bit blind, but not really, if that makes sense. So yeah, I walk to the edge of the scaffolding, see that, okay, there's not a lot to see. We're not that high up. The views, whatever. And so I kind of go back here and just kind of keep on taking the stairs up. I'm like, there's only one way I could really go, and that's up, right? There's not many other places for me to go. So I'm like, I might as well just keep on climbing up, keep on going. And I believe it's around here where I
Well, I don't
actually
even
like
know
turn on
how
my, or
tall
maybe
this
it's
building
later on,
is.
but yeah, I actually turn on my phone flashlight at one point because it gets kind of dark, and I'm like, I, I don't like the fact that it's so dark, and I'm like kind of sketched out. So yeah, I turn on my phone flashlight, keep on climbing. Once again, that's not ideal because I don't want people on the outside looking in, seeing a light, flashing around here. That's definitely not a good look. So I turn it off when it's not needed. And I decide, I'm high enough now that I could kind of look around. And so I see, a window area, and I kind of go to that. That's overlooking the construction site. And I see that I am on the highest floor that I could go to. The next floor is the roof, or I guess what is the roof now. I'm sure they're going to add more stories to this one later. I would assume they would. But yeah, so I'm on the highest floor now, and I'm thinking, okay, how do I get to the roof? Obviously, there's scaffolding I
Stairs are the last
I make
door
a
that
mental
way.
note right there that the stairs are the last, kind of doorway in this hallway. Um, just so if like security is up here or if I need to make a quick exit, I know where I am. Because once again, I don't know this building, and it's very these places are kind of like mazes sometimes where you get like lost. Like in when you go to a hotel or something, you don't know where anything is, and it's just like a long hallway. I didn't want that to happen to me, so I kind of made that mental note of like, okay.
Whoa.
And here I look out and I see a beautiful view of downtown Long Beach Boulevard, Long Beach Terrace Theater, and yeah, it's just a stunning view.
Shit.
I didn't want to stand
I
too
gotta
close to
stay
the
hidden
window.
too.
Just once
We gotta
again,
be
we're
careful.
overlooking Long Beach Boulevard, which is a pretty busy street.
Stay creeping.
And there's a lot of people walking around under. I don't want them to look up and get the wrong idea that, maybe I'm going to do something bad or whatever. That's not my intention. So I just try to stay away from the window, stay out of the street view, where I could still get a
Take some
decent view.
photos
And
too.
I brought my cameras to take some photos. That was my main intention. I guess, like, not really. But, it's really cool to be able to take photos from this perspective and get a different viewpoint of the city. So yeah, I bring my cameras along on these climbs, and just kind of doing that. This was my first solo climb, my first solo mission, um, and so there was definitely that sense of like paranoia. The first climb I ever did, I brought someone with me, and that really helped keep me grounded because there were a lot of sketchy parts in the climb. But having that extra person really helped, with them, like what we kind of calmed each other down at points. But when you're by yourself, your mind runs wild and you kind of go a little bit crazy at times, or the smallest things could freak you out, make you paranoid. And so I was definitely, extra cautious about that. But yeah, so here I am. I see there's a ladder to get to the roof, and that's the ladder that I want to take. I did not know if there was another staircase in here, so I was like, yeah. And so I walk up to the window. There's maybe a foot gap between the building itself and the scaffolding, which I just didn't want to jump that gap. I didn't want to do anything I wasn't comfortable with, and we were maybe like 10 stories up or so, and I just did not feel comfortable taking that leap. So I found a different way to get on the scaffolding. If that way that I took wasn't available, I would have ended up just taking the leap and doing that. It wasn't really that bad, but I would rather just find a different way to go up. That would make me feel more comfortable on this climb. That's the end goal here. I want to stay comfortable. I don't want to get stressed, because when I get stressed, you make mistakes, and that's not what you want. So here I am climbing up the ladder. There's a little trap door that opened up to the next floor, and yeah, so I opened that up. Kind of propped myself up a little bit, got up, and then yeah, now we are on the top floor of this building. Congratulations, Nick, you made it to the top. Make sure to close the trap door, so just make sure it's closed. You want to leave things as you found it,
Oh man.
especially in sites like this where you know people are going to be coming back and they may notice something's up. I don't want to raise any alarms and make people suspicious or whatever. So yeah, I'm looking for a way to get on this roof. Ideally, I wouldn't take the you know hop up from the scaffolding to the building, but there wasn't really any other way. So I was like, what, whatever. Yeah, let's just do it. So I hop up there, and now we are officially on the roof. We are on the top of this building, and the view is phenomenal. This camera doesn't really do it much justice. I was wearing a beanie, and I had the GoPro on a head strap, so the angle was kind of off, and I'm still kind of very new to using a head strap and a GoPro. It's not really something that I do that much, and so I think it was kind of angled at a lower angle than it should have been. And I normally shoot street photography on a 28 millimeter lens, and so when I was setting this up, I was like, oh yeah, 27 millimeters on the GoPro should be fine. In hindsight, and for future climbs, I'll definitely have a wider angle of view. But once again, you live and you learn. This GoPro actually isn't mine, so it was lended to me. But I'm gonna purchase my own pretty soon, probably. Yeah, here we are, and so there's apartment buildings. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Very, very dope view. Yeah, the views are just stunning. That's one things I love about doing these climbs. Once again, I've only been on 2 climbs. Well, this is technically my 3rd climb. I went on some climbs earlier on in the afternoon, actually before this one, on campus. But I wouldn't really consider them climbs. It was more of just like climbing up a ladder 1 story off the ground in the middle of the day on campus. So I don't know if I would really consider that a climb or not. Maybe just like me messing around and having fun and seeing if campus police would come if they found someone on top of the liberal arts building, which they didn't. No one cared, which was great. Um, but yeah, so here I am once again. I'm just taking some photos, taking in the view. It's a really stunning view, and I'm trying to stay in the center of the roof. Once again, outside of street view. I just don't want people to see me or look up or security. Um, but yeah, this was a solo climb, as I said before, and I enjoyed this climb much more than the first climb. And I think I don't have much experience with climbing, but I do have a lot of experience with photography. And like in the past, I've taken people out to take photos, like do street photography with me. And I never really enjoyed that as much as I did when I just go up by myself, because when you go up by yourself, you could do whatever you want and you could stay out for as long as you want and you could explore like one area for as long as you want. And I really wanted to stand this roof and kind of explore it a little bit more. And so it was very beneficial to just kind of be on my own and be able to do that. But the downside to doing that by yourself and doing things like this by yourself, especially, is, you know, the smallest thing happens and you just get extremely paranoid. So here I am, taking a little bit of a risk, I guess, oh wow, walking to the edge of here, trying to get a better view. I was actually
I've
surprised by how
never seen
much
anything
trash there
like
was
this.
on the
This is
ground.
absolutely
There was
beautiful.
a lot of trash, like Gatorade bottles,
Wow.
like plaster and everything, just thrown about. But it's a construction site. What do you expect?
This is
There's a
stunning.
view. Yeah, really stunning, Nick. I know. And but as I was saying, with climbing solo, and I'll even mention it here, my camera battery runs out, and that's on me. I should have packed more batteries. But while I'm changing these batteries, there's police sirens going by, and I don't have a view of the street, so I don't know where the sirens are going. Um, I assumed that they were for me at first, because once again, there's signs saying like, "Hey, the police will be notified if people come on here." And I didn't know if like maybe I missed a camera or if someone saw me, and so I was getting a little bit stressed out. But it turned out those sirens weren't for me. Great, Uh, that's awesome. Um, so here I am. I changed out my camera. I go to take a photo, and I find out the battery that I just replaced is still low. And so I kind of go into this
Yeah,
whole
this battery's
fiasco
low
of
too.
opening my bag. I had like 4 batteries in my bag, and I
I've
thought
never,
all of them were
dude.
charged,
It's
but
ironic.
none of them were
I've
charged.
never felt more
And
safe than
that's
I have now.
definitely on me. As a photographer, I should have known to charge my batteries, or at least have charged batteries in my bag, not have 4 empty batteries. One charged
This should
battery is
be.
better than four
This is
batteries
beautiful.
on 25%, And that's what all these batteries are pretty much on. They're all on like 25%. Um, so I kind of go through this thing, and this part kind of made me really anxious because around this point there were sirens ringing around.
Okay, I also got. Are those for me?
And I didn't know if those, once again, like I said earlier, I didn't know if those sirens were for me. And so if they were for me, I have to get off of this roof and I have to get out of this site as fast as possible. For whatever reason, in the moment, I'm hearing these sirens and I'm just like, yeah, let me just stay here and find a freaking battery that works. Right? As there's like sirens going around, I don't know who they're for. Um, but yeah, I just kept on trying batteries, kept on replacing batteries, and they were all like super low. I finally found one that was like at 50%. I was like, you know what, this one would work, and so I pack it up, and I'm like, yeah, this one's good. Put my batteries back in, get back up, and continue the mission. The thing with Long Beach is that it's a very active city, and so it's like there's always going to be something going on, meaning that there's always, shootings or someone who needs help. Right, with any major city, there's always something happening, and there's always sirens going around, and especially in the heart of downtown Long Beach, where all the action kind of is. There's always going to be sirens, and that's something that's just a fact about the city. If you spend any time in Long Beach, you'll know. You know, right? It's not a secret. And but the thing is, when you're on the top of a construction site that you're not really supposed to be on, you get very paranoid, and you don't know if those sirens are for you. Fortunately, I saw the sirens were going down First Street, which is not where I'm at. They were not headed towards me, so that's very good. Congratulations, Nick. You did not get caught yet. And so, anyway, yeah, I'm just heading down, and at this point, I'm kind of sketched out by the sirens. I'm sketched out by the whole situation, and so I'm kind of like, yeah, let's head on down. Let's kind of get off of this roof where I'm exposed. And once again, there's people in apartment buildings who can easily just look out and find out that I don't belong there and call the cops too. There's a lot of just sketchy stuff that could happen. And so I don't want that to happen. So I'm like, yeah, let's just not push my luck. I haven't been caught yet, but I don't want to run the risk of getting caught. So here I am headed down the stairwell. This is actually a different stairwell than the one that I took up, obviously, because it had roof access. I did not know about the existence of this stairwell until just now. But yeah, so I go down it. It gets a little bit dark. It's whatever. Right, there's a handrail on the side that I'm holding on to so I don't trip and fall. I actually get kind of confused at this point. I thought that this was the ground level at first, and I kind of walk out and check it out, but turns out it wasn't. This was still an upper level. And I thought that because I remembered when I was walking in, I saw staircases that had stairwells to the basement of the building, like parking structures and whatnot. So I thought, oh yeah, I'm on the ground level. Like, this is a different stairwell. This has access to the parking structure, but no, it doesn't. It didn't, at least. And I found my way out. So here I am, kind of walking around, and it's a lot darker outside once again. And once again, obviously, this is a different entrance that I took. But here I'm faced with two options. I'm kind of like, okay, I could either leave now and go home and call it a day, or I could explore the other building that is still wide open, asking to be explored, asking to be walked around, and is taller than the other building I was just on. So I decide, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go over there. And at this point, I'm walking around the open field, which probably isn't the best because I'm probably in view of some cameras or whatnot. Like, I could have used a little bit more cover, but it's darker now, and I feel I'm pretty safe. I'm still on the lookout though for cameras and everything. That situational awareness, I think, is something that's very important and something that I've learned over the years, not just like with this, but just like being able to be aware of your surroundings is something I've learned from like photographing like protests and just like different being in different situations, like very dynamic situations. I like this one in a sense. I wouldn't really call this a dynamic situation. Everything's pretty static, but it has the possibility to be dynamic in a split second if the cops are called. So you have to be very aware of things like that, of moving parts and everything, of cameras. Um, I feel like situational awareness isn't really valued as much as it should be nowadays. Just because like everyone's on their phones and everyone's not really aware of like their surroundings, or even like in a restaurant or something, like people aren't really aware of like where to exit, exit points or possible things like that. And maybe I'm paranoid and like always trying to notice those things, but I would rather be safe than sorry, right? And if something does happen, you always want to know where to go, where to be. Um, Something I'm always aware of, and this is just something I've been taught from a young age, is always being aware of like where security cameras are and things like that, right? Like always being aware of like field of view. Back when I was in high school, I was always aware of of the different fields of view that the school cameras had. Actually, one time when I was in high school, we were out at lunch, And just a quick story: as I walk up these like 20 flights of stairs, we were at lunch one time, and I was with my friends, and someone was actually on the ground with a seizure, and I was like one of the only people. Maybe I wasn't the only person who noticed it, but I was the only person who actually went and did something about it. I ran over. I put my backpack under her head. You got to elevate the head, turn it to the side, and no one else really noticed what was going on. Right? I called for someone to get like a nurse, but no one else would notice like anything happened. I was like, "Did you just notice that person had a seizure?" And everyone was like, "Oh no, I didn't even see that happen." Right? Earlier today, like when I was climbing the liberal arts buildings, nobody even noticed that I that I got up there. I was making so much noise. I was on the top of the roof, and like everyone was still just looking down at whatever they were doing, which is fine. Like, yeah, it's okay. But definitely try to be more aware of your surroundings in the future. That's something I always try to do. Um, anyway, yeah, I'm in the actual building now that's constructed, and I'm climbing up all these stairs. There was a construction elevator that I could have taken, but I didn't want to do that because there was some like RFID chip or whatever that you needed to scan, and I didn't want to get stuck, and I don't know how to operate those things, so that's the last thing I want to do. It's also in plain view of the street, so definitely not the smartest choice, but I get tired of walking the stairs, so I decide to walk around this floor a little bit, and I find a different stairwell that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that one when I come back up. So this is one of the apartment rooms, I guess you could call it, that was just built, and it's not furnished, totally empty, has nothing in it. But there's some windows here. It's kind of hard to see because the windows make everything darker. But there was a sign. There was a balcony that was constructed too. A sign that said "Don't open the door," and I was like, you know what? I'm already doing y'all enough damage by like trespassing on your property, so I'll respect your wishes not to open the door. I'll keep that I'll keep that shut, right? I'll keep it shut. I'll respect you guys there. Um, and there was a box that I thought were drinks, but they weren't, unfortunately. And I was like, man, I could use some water. And it just reminded me, I was like, oh, I'm really thirsty. But anyway, yeah, I walk up this flight of stairs, and I'm pretty tired at this point. Like I've had a long day already, and I'm just straight up like walking upstairs. I don't even know what floor I'm on right now, but yeah, I climbed a total of 22 floors. So I just keep on walking, keep on walking, keep on walking, and it's definitely very tiring, but it's a much safer bet than taking the elevator. That would run me the risk of getting caught or worse, getting stuck and then having to be rescued or something. I just don't want that. Really didn't want to run that risk. That was just something that was totally not worth it to me. So, the stairs it is, right? It's a good little workout here. And yeah, so here I'm like, oh man, how many more flights? And I kind of look up the middle and I'm like, oh dude, I still have such a long way to go. And then I climb up one more flight and I'm like, wait, how high up am I? And I look down and I think it's right about here where I look down. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty high up. And yeah, just still climbing. I think it's, yeah, here we go. I look down, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I'm pretty high up, whatever. Because when you're climbing the flight of stairs, you don't really have a reference on how high you are. I think it's around here. This is level 22, where I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm just gonna explore this flight and then probably call it a day because I really don't want to walk up more stairs, right? And so I turn around like from the stairwell, and I immediately am faced with this just beautiful view of the city, and I'm like, wow, this view is stunning. It's really beautiful, and so I kind of walk on over to the edge of the railing, and there's like two little wires there, and I wasn't planning on crossing over and like walking on the very edge, unsecured, because that's just I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm not gonna push my comfort zone, especially in the dark, and I really want to avoid being exposed or like having the fire department called or something. Um, so yeah, I just kind of take in the view, really, really phenomenal view. Um, I love doing these climbs because yeah, like this is only my second climb, but my second actual climb. But I've seen some of the most beautiful views of the city from doing these. And just new perspectives that you get to see from climbing. So, that's why I guess I go back, right? This whole thing started. It's funny. Like I didn't expect to get so hooked on doing this, but the seed was kind of planted in my mind because I met a photographer who climbs like these cranes in construction buildings. And when he first mentioned it, I was like, dude, you're crazy. Like, you are insane. There's no way. Like, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. And then he offered to take me one day. He's like, you want to come along? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go along. I'm down to try anything at least one time, right? That's my mindset. And so anyway, we were planning out a climb, and the climb was postponed, and I was like, I don't want to wait that long. So I ended up going with a friend, and that's the episode 1 of the urban free climbing. I ended up going with a friend, and I loved it. So that's why I came back to it. I'm like, oh wow, I really enjoy this. I still haven't met that photographer. I still haven't went along with him. I was planning to do a little documentary and like follow him around. That's what this was originally supposed to be. Like just a little series like following him around and seeing his perspective, but it turned into something very different. So here we are now, that's what this is. Anyway, I'm on the other side of the building. The construction elevator is actually like that graded area. So that's the construction elevator, and that red light that you see, that was like the chip thing that you need to scan to get access to the elevator. Once again, I don't have like a card or anything to scan to get access to that elevator. So I don't have access to that elevator. I didn't want to press any buttons or do anything. So yeah, here I am with my phone, taking a few photos, taking a few snaps. And yeah, pretty much that's it. I'm like, there's nothing more to see here, right? Beautiful views. It sucks that it was constructed by the grate of the elevator, but that's just what it is, right? It is what it is. There's nothing more you could do about it. So anyway, yeah, here I am. I'm filming a little video for my Instagram. I ended up bumping my hand on like a container, so I went back to refilm it. And yeah, if you follow my Instagram, or if you're coming from my Instagram, this is the video that you saw of me walking over to the edge and then showing the 22 and then showing the view. And then after that, I was like, there's nothing really more for me to do. I could try to go up higher, but I'm not really down for that. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just head on down now. And yeah, the rest of this is just me walking down 22 flights of stairs, which the walk down was a lot easier. And I'm very fortunate for this climb that the way up allowed me to get down the same way. The first climb that we did, it was sort of similar, but the way up was a lot less sketchy than the way down, because I think when we climbed up, the scaffolding was a little bit, like, I think we loosened the scaffolding or something, because when we climbed up, the scaffolding was secure. By the time we came down, like, the scaffolding was all shaky and really sketchy. And so I'm glad that I didn't run into anything like that on this little exploration endeavor. Here I see a sink, right? There were a bunch of sinks on the way down. I was thinking about taking a little sip of water from one of them because I was really thirsty at the time. But I was like, construction water, like construction sink water, probably isn't the most sanitary water to be drinking from. So I decided against it. I was like, you know what? I'll just hold on for a little bit, just toughen it up, get through this little thing, just get out of here and then get some water. Yeah, I'm still going down the stairs. I was shocked by 22 stories is really high, but when you're walking up the stairs, it feels like much more. And this was like in itself a great little workout for me. Just hiking down, hiking up, hiking down, hiking up, right? All these stairs. I have nothing more to say here, so I guess I'll just see you guys. I'll touch base again when I have something to say, right? So yeah, now we're almost down, and I see this sink here that has a lot of water,
Well,
and I'm like, haha, sink water, it's blue, whatever. So anyway, yeah, we're pretty much down to the ground level. Um, Once again, like this always trips me out because I don't remember if the stairs I came up had basement access, and I don't want to accidentally go to the basement and then have to walk up more stairs, but this one didn't. So I just kind of exit out.
shoot.
And so I'm walking out of the building, walking out of the structure, kind of turned around a little bit, but that's all right. And then I find the way that I came in. I was going to take this out of the video, but like, honestly, it was such a flaw in the security of the site that I'm just going to leave it in. So if the developers are watching this, like, yeah, you guys seriously need to fix this. Yeah, now we're out.
There
We
we
are
go.
scot-free. I take a little video for the gram. I'm out. I'm safe. If the cops come, like I wasn't in there. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, right? And so I take a little video for the gram, just export that area. And yeah, I cross the street and now I'm ready to go home. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep now. And yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Once I don't try anything that you see in here. This is done by trained professionals. Sure, we'll say that. And but seriously, don't try anything you see in this video. I don't condone the actions, right? I wish I was like a better person and didn't do these kinds of things, but I am, and that's just how I am. So anyway, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.